Welcome to Everyday Martial Artist, a weekly podcast where you'll join me, Brian Doucette, as I interview a different martial artist each episode and hear their story. Some guests you may have heard of, and some you probably haven't. Be sure to subscribe where all your favorite podcasts are available. Also visit our website at everydaymartialartist.com. If you're listening for a specific interview, I sure hope you'll stay and check out the other episodes. A very special thank you to Topher Williams for our custom theme music. And now, the newest episode of Everyday Martial Artist. Everyday Martial Artist is brought to you by KOOnline.com for all your martial arts needs. Sparring and safety gear, rank belts, uniforms, weapons, patches, and more. Wholesale supplies made by martial artists for martial artists. Visit us today at ko-online.com. You know, one question I ask every guest on Everyday Martial Artist is about their favorite martial arts book. And there's never been one quite like Martial Theory by Steve Perlman, described as the art of war for the martial artists. Martial Theory helps any martial artist or instructor take their understanding and teaching to the next level. And at martialtheoryU.com, you'll find a global community with instructor groups, Q&A with Steve, live events, and demonstrations to help you apply martial theory directly to your training. It's not just a book, it's a movement. Find Martial Theory on Amazon, and when you join martialtheoryU.com, use discount code EverydayMA for 20% off. That's under $20 a month for life. That's martialtheoryU.com, code EverydayMA. Hello and welcome to Everyday Martial Artist. I'm your host, Brian Doucette, and as we do every week, we're joined by a brand new guest talking about their life and their journey throughout the world of martial arts. My guest today is a lifelong martial artist and teacher with nearly 3 decades of experience in the Brazilian art of Capoeira. In addition to Capoeira, he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructor representing the prestigious Roger Gracie Academy here in North Dakota, carrying forward a legacy built on technical precision, respect, and discipline. He has taught and performed around the world from Brazil to London, where he spent 15 years teaching, and even in Beijing, China. He's also led workshops and masterclasses across Europe, including France, Germany, Sweden, and Norway. He helped found Grupo Capoeira Arte, an organization dedicated to preserving and promoting the cultural and social impact of capoeira worldwide. When not on the mat, he's a design professor at the University of Jamestown in North Dakota, and he's the first guest that I found because of an ad on Facebook Marketplace. So please welcome my guest today, Francisco Casaroti. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm very good. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me, for having me here.
Hey, thank you. Seriously, I
Pleasure.
appreciate your time, and I'm looking forward to learning more about you.
Okay, let's go.
Well, what we do with all my guests, I mentioned you've been doing this for quite a while, but I want to know how it started. I want to know where that first interest in martial arts came from, kind of what sparked that interest, what kicked off your martial arts journey.
Okay, so I think I was about 16 years old. I was a big troublemaker back there in Brazil.
Nice.
I'm from São Paulo State. It's a small city. I mean, it's bigger for North Dakota, but it's quite small for São Paulo.
Okay.
It's called Piracicaba. And I was troublemaker. I was fighting on the streets all the time, was very difficult boy. And one of my friends that was also like me, big fighter, want to fight all the time on the streets. He used to do capoeira as well. And he was the best between all of us. And he said like, well, why don't you come over and try, see if you're very skilled as a fighter. And I think you're going to be surprised. And I always thought like, no, this is just a dance. It's all bullshit,
Yeah.
It's not a real fight. And then I want to challenge everyone. And then I met my master. He was a very short man. And back then he was skinny, much shorter than me, and to be really honest, he beat the shit out of me. And that's how it started. And I'm very persistent, I don't like to lose, so I keep coming back, and I end up becoming his best student. And today he's not just my master, but he's like the main person in my life. He guided me through a lot of stuff I went in my life, personal problems and everything. And I think if I am here now teaching at university and everything is because of capoeira and because of this man.
Wow. That's actually cool. So think about, you said before you had an idea what it was before you went there. Think about that first class. Now, the first class, did you join in? Did you just watch? And kind of what are some of the thoughts from that first class? And, what changed your mind on thinking it wasn't just a dance anymore?
Yes, I think, going back to how I see capoeira on the streets, because it's very popular in Brazil. So whenever I was going to the center of my city, I always see the capoeira people playing in the roda, we call the roda the circle where we play. Mm-hmm. And I hear the sound and everything. And I always thought like, oh, this guy is just playing, there's not real fights. but I never really pay attention to it. And then when I went to this first class and I saw lots of people training and practicing those techniques, I still did not trust that was efficient enough. I said like, that's not really fight, And then when we start to play inside of the roda and I start to see things happening, I say like, well, I want to try that, and I step in straight away,
Mm-hmm.
and then he just jumped in and he beat me very hard, and I thought like, well, I need to come back and I need to learn this, and then I start from the very first class to understand that that impression was really wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on, just to mention, his name is Marcelo, and he's my master. His nickname is Borracha, and he sit down with me and say like, "Hey, everybody thinks capoeira is a dance, and that's why it's still alive. But in fact, is what you try, and now you know what that is, and it's a real martial art, and it can really hurt,
Mm-hmm.
and it will hurt you whenever you underestimate it." So that was the very first impression that changed everything.
Wow. That is such a cool story. And how long did you stay at that school with that instructor?
Well, I'm still stay with him up to now. He's still my master. I talk to him every day, several times a day. So,
okay.
Like I said to you, he's one of the most important persons in my life, and I talk more with him than I talk to my parents, for instance. So, yeah.
Okay. And how long were you there before because I know you also do jiu-jitsu. Did you do any other styles in between there? Did you focus mainly on capoeira for a while?
Right. I did a little bit of karate, like 1 or 2 sessions. I didn't really like it. I thought it was very boring back then.
Okay.
I really respect all martial arts, by the way.
Yeah.
But that wasn't for me. And then when I really get this starting capoeira and I start to travel with capoeira and going to different cities, different countries, I start to feel the difficult when sometimes happening fights inside of capoeira roda, and we need to know how to deal with the situation on the ground as well.
Yeah.
That's when the jiu-jitsu started in my life. So I started to train in Brazil with my other teacher, and then when I moved to London, I started to train with Professor Fabio, who is one of the oldest Roger Gracie students, and who introduced me to Roger Gracie style and the whole Gracie Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with completely different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And that I end up falling in love with it. And I mean, both martial arts are a big part of my life. I mean, capoeira is the main thing, but Jiu-Jitsu complemented it. So I love both. But capoeira has a special place on my heart.
Okay.
Yep.
How many years of capoeira before you started jiu-jitsu?
I think about 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah. And many people doesn't know it, but there are a lot of techniques in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that comes from capoeira. So Roger Gracie, he used to go to capoeira rodas and he challenged the capoeiristas, and he started to learn some techniques from them. So the stand-up technique come from capoeira, the double leg come from capoeira, we call baiano in capoeira. So there is just one kick in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that's called pisão, which is that step on the knee when the guy is approaching you, that comes from capoeira. So there are, if you do some research, you can find some images of Roger Gracie with capoeiristas in Brazil, training and learning from them as well, which is some curiosity about the relationship between those martial arts that not many people know. And there are lots of capoeiristas doing really well in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, like Cobrinha. I don't know if you heard of him. He's world championship many times, and he comes from capoeira, and there are many other names.
Oh, wow. I've interviewed a handful of people with capoeira backgrounds. I've never been told that before, that it's connected to BJJ like that. So that's kind of cool.
Yep.
Okay.
And Ilio always said that the capoeiristas were the most tough fighters he met in his life.
Okay. Did you ever get to meet or train with Helio?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
No, unfortunately.
Okay. So at any time in capoeira, did you get involved in martial arts competition, or did that come later with jiu-jitsu? Okay.
No, we do have our own competitions. They are not so popular because it's really hard to judge who is better in capoeira.
Yeah.
Capoeira has many different faces, we have different styles, different rhythms that dictate the way how we play inside of the roda. And there are many different types of competition. Some of them is more like fight related, expecting a lot of contact and kicks reaching your opponent, and some others are more related to acrobatics, and some others more related to how many tricks you can play inside of the what we call game. And yeah, there are several competitions. Now it's becoming more professional. There are some big competitions going on now in Brazil. But yeah, I've always been interested since I started it. I took part in many of them in Brazil. I travel to many states to participate in those competitions. So I
Okay.
always enjoyed it. I think it's a great challenge.
Is there a decent number of those competitions in the US at all?
There was just one last weekend. It's called Elite, which is more based on the fight side of capoeira.
Mm-hmm.
So it was quite interesting. It's a new approach, if this kind of like a show type of thing. It's not much to the capoeira community. It's more to show the outsiders how capoeira can be efficient in a way. But yeah, I think it's quite important one, and is becoming more and more relevant. It's the second time they do it,
Oh,
but there is another one. It's called VMB in Brazil, which is giving cash prizes, good prices.
wow.
And yeah, it's getting better and better, and we are looking forward to the sport to be more recognized around the world and see
Nice.
more people participate. And there are competitions inside of the groups as well.
Okay.
There is the biggest group in the world, it's called Abadá Capoeira. They have a very important competition, and that was the biggest one, but it was internal because the group is so big and they have so many good players, or big fighters.
Mm-hmm.
It was basically for them, but it got a very good exposure all over the world, and then that's why the new competition starts to appear as well. So they
Okay.
are the biggest reference.
So the organization you're part of, where's the next closest school to you?
It's in Brazil.
Oh, there's really nothing, no other
Yeah,
ones in the
so
US?
no, I'm the only one here in US.
Wow.
We have another master from our group who is in Ireland,
Okay.
and I was in London for 15 years, so I still have some students there.
Okay.
So I left some students in Beijing, China as well, because when I left, they kept training. And yeah, and in
Okay.
Brazil is where everything started. So most of our instructors and teachers are over there.
Okay. So what led you to London?
Right. So my first international experience was when I was 18 years old. I was invited, actually, my master was invited to go to Sweden for a capoeira event, and he couldn't make it. So he said, like, you go, and
Oh,
instead of me, I
wow.
said, okay, that's fine, I'm going. So he trusts me to go with our other master from the group, and we
Mm-hmm.
went and we did really well. We traveled the whole country. I ended up staying there several months, working with capoeira, giving masterclass and participating in events, shows, and things like that. So when I came back to Brazil, I thought, like, I want to travel more. I need to expand my capoeira and teach other nationalities as well. So then I decided to move to UK in 2009,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where I stayed for 15 years.
Wow.
London is such a big city. There are a lot of groups over there, but I think we did really well by setting up the group and expanding the capoeira over there, and showing our style and
Mm-hmm.
establishing our group over there.
Well, you mentioned teaching. What led you down that path? What made you want to teach martial arts?
Well, I never wanted it, to be honest, but
A lot of my guests say that. That's funny.
right, because you're so focusing getting better and better, and become a better athlete every day,
Mm-hmm.
that you don't really think about passing this knowledge over. So at some point, my master started telling me, okay, so you have the skills for fight, you know how to deal with situation with guys of your age and your height and even bigger than you. So maybe now it's time for you to focus more on kids. And actually, I think he want to calm me down.
Okay.
And he started to put me to help kids and teaching them. And I think that was a great thing, because I start to look at capoeira with completely different eyes, and I start to learn much more, because I just realized that I didn't know basically nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I just knew how to fight. I didn't knew how to pass the knowledge over, and this is really important for us. And capoeira is passed over generation,
Yeah.
one to one, verbally, through the music, through those experiences. So, and then I start to realize that's another universe to be discovered and to learn from.
Okay. What led to the decision, to open your own school? Because your first school was in London?
Yes,
Okay.
actually, while I was in Brazil, I was training with my master, but I was teaching twice a week.
Oh, okay.
A group of kids that come from a very poor area. That was a kind of like a social project we
Okay.
had. And then when I moved to London, it was more professionalized, and it was like I rent a place, and I have to get my insurance and lots of different stuff that I didn't had in Brazil,
Mm-hmm.
and charging students, and work more professionally.
Yeah.
So and that went really well for some time. And yeah, we kept the group for 15 years. We still have students over there, and yeah, it was really great to have that time over there.
And when you were teaching there, were you also teaching Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or only Capoeira at the time?
No, at the time I was mostly teaching capoeira, and
Okay.
I was training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with Professor Fabio, and going sometimes to the headquarters of Roger Gracie Academy, and that was most of it. Professor Fabio is also capoeira countermaster,
Hmm.
and yeah, so we trained capoeira together and trained Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. There was other capoeira guys as well who went to Roger Gracie, and they are now his black belt, and I'm just a purple belt, by the way.
Hey,
But
that's still
I'm
pretty
working
good.
hard to improve my skills. So
Hmm. What do you think was more difficult, teaching kids or teaching adults?
I think it's a very hard question, because capoeira is extremely flexible in terms of how you teach people. I've been teaching disabled, with different kind of disabilities as well,
Hmm.
people with mental health issues, and I think the way how we approach different groups, it's always challenging, but it's always very rewarding as well.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to tell which is hard and which one is easier. I think kids is hard in the sense that you have to keep their attention or grab their attention for some time, while adults is easier with attention, but they need much longer to catch with the techniques, while kids are faster to learn in terms of using their body.
Okay.
So I think each group will have a different approach and different requirements.
Okay. After London, was that Beijing, China after London?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
What made the decision to go to Beijing?
Right. So back then I was finishing my master's in graphic design, and I was invited to move there to work as a professor. So that was my first job as a graphic design professor. And wherever I go around the world, I always training capoeira and visiting groups and train outside. And then I was training at the university football field,
Hmm.
and some guys saw me train and they come approach me and say like, "Oh, I think I see this is capoeira." And then we start to build up conversation. They come and start to train with me, and they start to spread the word. And then suddenly we had around 20 people training. That's how it started it. And here was very similar. So here in Jamestown, I was also training. Then I meet some guys who was curious about capoeira, and then they introduced me to the place where I'm teaching now. So that's always how it goes.
So is that what led you to Jamestown? Was the job at the university?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
And how was your first winter in North Dakota?
So yeah, you see, like when I went to Sweden, I left Brazil. It was the hottest time of the year. It was summer and was about 40 degrees Celsius almost every day.
Hmm.
And I went there, it was minus 20. That was the coldest temperature I got there. And last year here I got minus 34 degrees Celsius, which is much colder than
Yeah.
uh, my lowest temperature. So just to give you an impression of what I faced. But the summer here is great.
Yeah.
It's very much like my city in Brazil. And yeah, now I'm just getting ready for the winter that's around the corner.
Yeah. Those 3 or 4 weeks of summer are wonderful that we get.
Yes.
So what
So,
what advice would you give to an adult? Let's say an older adult, like someone maybe my age, someone in their 40s, someone in their 50s, that maybe has an interest in capoeira, but they see it and they're like, I can't do a cartwheel, I can't do a handstand. What do you say to them to convince them to give it a try?
okay, I think like capoeira is for everyone.
Hmm.
You just need to respect your body and your limitations, but challenge them in every way is possible. And what I normally say to my students, like the first 3 months is very, very challenging. It's very difficult, especially for adults, because it's a time for adaptation. You're gonna feel muscles in your body that you don't even knew that they exist. So the after training the next day, it's tough during those 3 months.
Yeah.
Then your body start to get used to those movements, and that's when the pleasure or the enjoyment start to come up. And during this time, of course, you also start to understand more what's going on inside of capoeira, why you need to do those movements, why you have to be all the time moving with the kind of dance aspect we call ginga. And yeah, and it's become so interesting. Once you pass these 3 months, I think you get hooked, and then it's really hard to stop training. But
Okay.
those 3 months, I think, are the toughest ones. And after passing those 3 months, I think everyone should be fine.
And how have the local students accepted it? Because I'm pretty sure it's the first one in North Dakota ever that I know of.
Yeah, so like when I start teaching here, I have one man who is 60 years old, Nathan.
Nice.
He knows about Brazil, and he was very curious about our culture as well. And he started training with me, and coming regularly. And he really enjoyed it. He suffered a little bit at the beginning, I think, and then he started to find more joy in the training. And then I had another guy who came from karate, Austin, and he has some martial art experience, but he didn't know what he's gonna find in capoeira. Then he started to come, and he's very regular as well. So we have several other guys who come and go, but we have a kind of like a small group that we're building up here.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of like the way how everything started it. And
Yeah.
now they are more familiarized with the capoeira environment, the music, and how the music interfere in the way how you behave inside of the roda, how you move your body, how to react, how to escape, how to attack. Why the acrobatics are necessary and when. So all of this become a part of much more complex martial art, I would say, and the way how they understand it. So yeah, it's really really nice to see how these guys come from a completely different culture than mine, and they are learning a lot about it, and they start to think about speak a little bit in Portuguese, counting Portuguese, singing the musics in Portuguese. We cannot translate that, so we
Yeah.
have to teach them how to sing in Portuguese. And they learn the instruments as well. We have
Mm-hmm.
berimbau here, tabaco, pandeiro, everything,
Oh,
and they are
wow.
learning it. So you don't just learn one martial art, but you learn instruments, you learn the history of Brazil and the history of the slaves, and also the history of martial arts in Brazil. That's also connected to the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. By the way, these guys end up training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with me as well.
Yeah.
So and the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu here is going really well as well. So
Nice.
everything is good. Yep.
And do you have like a standalone school? Are you teaching on campus? Where's the school located in case people want to check it out?
I'm teaching at graphic design at university, but I'm teaching martial arts at the track. Is a Two Rivers activity center.
Okay.
So it's another place which is more like a activity center.
Yeah, like a community event center type thing.
Right. They have a
Okay.
swimming pool, gym, and some dance studio. So that's where we do the martial arts. It's not here at the university, no.
Okay. And how often do you have classes right now?
The classes are for capoeira Tuesdays and Thursdays,
Mm-hmm.
and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday. We have open mats.
Okay, cool. And for you personally, first of all, how often do you get to go back and train with your capoeira instructor? And then how often do you get to train with your Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructor?
Okay, so with capoeira, I'm trying to go to Brazil at least once a year,
Okay.
and during this time, I always trained with them. This summer, I couldn't go to Brazil because my wife came to US, so she just moved here.
Okay.
But last summer, I spent the 3 months there teaching, training, and traveling with capoeira. So the end of the year, we're going to Brazil again. So that will be my next good time with my capoeira partners and train with them there.
Nice.
And about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I also visit Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu schools in Brazil. We have my previous professor there that I visit often. Whenever I'm there, I'm always going there and train with them.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever I have a chance to go to London, then I train with Professor Fabio and go to Roger Gracie headquarters as well.
Okay.
But I haven't been there last year, so just the year before. So it's been more than a year without going to London, and I'm planning to go soon again.
So do you think then after you had your school established for maybe a couple of years and you have a good solid base of students, you'll maybe plan like a student trip to Brazil so they can go?
We are already talking about that. So
Nice.
this gentleman who trains with me, Nathan, he has a Brazilian girlfriend, and he's going to Brazil this year, and I planning to take him to some capoeira rodas to have a more meaningful experience in capoeira, to really feel what that is, by playing with people who you never seen before, and test
Nice.
yourself.
That's cool. So think back to that first school where you were teaching class 2 nights a week to now, all these years later, you're still teaching, you have your own school. What do you think has changed the most about your teaching style over all those years?
Well, yeah. So I think, if I look back into when I started it and now, I learned so much over these years, And if I have a recommendation for someone who is starting martial arts today, always look for someone who has long years of experience, because they will take a much better care of you. Don't try to get someone who is just starting
Hmm.
with martial art and start to teach, because they don't really know much about how to take care of the students. So always look up for someone with many years of mat or many years of capoeira rodas, because they can teach you the right thing, and you're going to be in the good hands.
You and your students, would you ever consider, like, personal question, but if I could work it out, would you consider coming here and doing a demonstration if I could set something up?
Sure, yeah, we
Awesome.
can do that. We don't have many people to create like a big roda, how I would like to do,
Yeah.
with like 20 people or 30 people to make a proper roda. But yeah, we can come down, and maybe we have to play sound from a speaker or something, and then
Hmm.
we do a demonstration. And I
Cool.
can bring the instruments over, and then suddenly we can do some music as well.
Awesome. I might have
Let's
to,
do it.
we'll have to talk afterwards and maybe try to set that up. I think that'd be, like I said, I've never seen it live. I only seen it on video, and I've never seen it in person. So I'd definitely be
Yeah.
interested in that. So
No, let's plan that. I'm more than happy to do it.
awesome. And you mentioned your wife. So is your wife
Yep.
involved in martial arts?
Yes, she is. She started training about 2 years ago, and she's coming as often as possible. She loves capoeira. She's trained Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well. She's kind of fallen in love with Jiu-Jitsu. She doesn't like much of the contact in the Jiu-Jitsu, because we are all sweating,
Hmm.
and ladies doesn't really like it unless they're trained with other ladies, which is a little bit better for them. But she loves capoeira. She's really fascinated about capoeira.
That's cool. And I know you mentioned you did some karate also. So have you ever done any martial arts weapons training over your career?
Well, in capoeira, not many people knows it, but we have several types of weapons.
I know you have
Okay.
like some knives. That's about the only ones I
Yeah.
know about. So
Right, yeah. We use I mean, back in the days, it was quite common to see capoeira fighters using the flick knives, how we call it,
okay.
the one that you can open up for shaving. So that
Oh,
was quite common in Brazil. Like whenever the fights start to happen inside of the roda, they used to open those flick knives and they cut each other. So Mestre Bimba, who is the founder of Capoeira Regional style, so he used to give as a graduation system to his students a piece of cloth made out of silk. That is one of the only things that can protect your neck and your wrists against those cuts.
okay.
So he would give in different colors to show the level of his students, but it's mainly for protection on their necks against those flick knives.
Okay.
And this is one type, but there are several other type of knives that it was quite common to see.
Okay. And do you have a favorite weapon that you train with?
I don't really like weapons, to be
Oh,
really honest with
okay.
you. I think we as humans, whenever we start to appeal to those techniques using tools or weapons, I think is when the fascination, in my personal opinion, I respect that, but I
Hmm.
think is like you're losing control of your body and you're losing your fight, so you need something else. And I like to see more man against man, in a
Yeah.
real fight situation, and applying techniques and see the techniques in action rather than using weapons.
Oh,
So that's just me personally.
I get it. That makes sense. All right. Talk about the Grupo Capoeira Arte, kind of like, how that started and what that's about.
Okay. Yeah, so Capoeira Art was founded in 2000.
Hmm.
And when I started Capoeira, my master was training with Mestre de Mola, which was one of the greatest fighters from that group I mentioned before, the Abadá Capoeira. He was a great warrior. Just to give you a bit of backstory, he
Uh-huh.
used to train with Marco Ruas. I don't know if you
Oh
heard of
yeah.
him.
King of the streets. Oh
So
yeah. I know Marco.
yes,
Yep.
he was his sparring. So and you can watch his interviews talking about capoeira. Marco Ruas come from capoeira, and Mestre de Mola was his sparring, and they also get the graduation together. Mestre de Mola was recognized as a master, and Marco Rua got the blue rope back then with Mestre Camisa.
Okay.
And Dimola found his group when he left Abadá, which was called Capoeira Guanabara. That's when I started to train capoeira back into 96, 97. So, and then after several years in Capoeira Guanabara, my master just realized there was a lot of changes in the way how Mestre Mola proposed the group, and was too much violence inside of the group, too much competition between ourselves, and there was lots of big fights. And then my master and the founder of our group, Mas Gambá, they were good friends and students of Mas de Mola. They decided to leave the group and found a group that was called Capoeira Arte. And I was part of this process and helping them to construct the graduation system, the structure of the group, and all the bureaucratic side as well. The hierarchy, how the group would differ from other groups, and things like that. And yeah, that's how it started it. And we
Okay.
are about 26 years already with
Okay.
the group and looking to the future.
You're still heavily involved with the group?
Yes, that's my group. That's
Okay.
what the group I represent here is called
Okay.
Capoeira Arte. And yeah, it's been 26 years with the group, and I've been 27, 28 years in Capoeira. So
Okay.
we have several years with Mas de Mola, and then we just start Capoeira Arte, and here we are.
Nice. Can you think of the student, whether it's in Brazil, whether it's in London, whether it's in Beijing, but the student that you brought to the highest rank? Is there one that you've brought to master level? Is there, like what's the highest rank you have a student that was under you for a certain amount of years that you got to like that high level?
Yes, I have a lady in London. Her name is Hillary. Her nickname is Veneno, which means poison. We all have nicknames in Capoeira, by the way.
Yep.
So her nickname is Veneno. So she was my very first student, and she trained with me the whole time.
Wow.
While I was there. And she got her blue belt before I left UK. And blue belt is not belt, scored, or rope. So it's kind of like a monitor. So the next step for her will be several years helping the teacher to teach, and then she will eventually start to teach as well, and then later on gets the green, and then keep going to brown, and then so on and so forth.
And is she still involved? She's still training and teaching?
She's not training or teaching at the moment. She got to the point that she needs to start. I think she's 64 now, something like that.
Okay.
I might be wrong with her age. I don't want to get it wrong. But yeah, I think it was like quite tough for her because she also do other activities as well. So since I left, she never found anybody that really take good care of her, and she decided to stop as well.
That's too bad. It's tough
Yeah,
though.
but
When you have a good teacher, it's hard to replace them.
right, yeah, but I still in touch with her. We talk sometimes, and I'm sure she still love capoeira and still like inside, she's still a capoeirista.
Nice. So have you ever had like a get together with all your students and watch the movie Only the Strong, or no?
You know what? We never done it. We watched so many capoeira videos, but I'm more interested in the real capoeira games than those fictionals. I mean, so many people ask me about Tekken as well. Oh, can you do everything like the
I love Tekken.
Eddie Gordo? So yeah, some stuff we can do, and I teach some of the stuff that he does. And I think anyway that the media used to promote our martial art it's great. I'm really in favor of it. But whenever we have to teach students, we have to use real stuff, not like this kind of artistic stuff. So,
well, I got to ask, because everyone I've interviewed about capoeira, I've always asked if you ever saw the mid to late 80s movie called Rooftops that also featured capoeira. It was a really bad movie.
Good question. Maybe in Portuguese, if I know the name in Portuguese, I can tell you, but because we have different names in Brazil.
Yeah.
And when I start training capoeira, I just become crazy and I watch everything what was about capoeira. I have magazines, DVDs. Back there was VHS.
Yep.
So I have many of them, like cassette with music and CDs. I have lots of materials back there in Brazil. So it was crazy for it, and probably I watched it. Yeah, I just don't remember by the name in English.
If you ever saw the movie Iron Eagle, it had the same kid starred in it, Jason Gedrick. But in the movie, if I remember, I haven't watched it in a couple of years, but in the movie, I think they called it combat dancing. I don't even remember if they called it capoeira.
Okay. Yeah,
it wasn't that good.
there are many movies with capoeira, and not many people know. So the cat woman was trained by a master here in US. Master Boneco trained her.
Yep.
And there is also the Harry Potter. There is a scene when they are entering the school, and a master from London, Poncianinho, made the scene when he's walking through the corridor and he started to do a lot of capoeira movements. And there are many others, actually. If we start to dig into it, we're going to find a lot of nice movies with capoeira. There is one series on Disney Plus. It's called Capoeiras, and it tells a little bit about the capoeira story in
Really?
Rio de Janeiro for some time. Yep, yeah. It's new. It came out, I think, last month,
Oh,
and I really recommend. It's really good.
I will have to
And
check that. I've never heard of that one.
yeah, it's nice fiction, but was written by
Oh,
Mestre
yeah.
Nestor Capoeira, and part of this fiction is mixed with real situations in capoeira that he saw.
Okay.
And there are some real capoeiristas involved, and yeah, it's really nice. I
Nice.
really recommend.
I just found it. I just added it to my list. It's 6
Yep,
episodes. I'll have to.
yep,
I guess I know what I'm doing this weekend. So
cool. Hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you think about
I
it
will
later.
for sure. Yeah, I can't believe
Yep.
I didn't see that on there. So, all right. Over all your years of martial arts, is there one philosophy you've learned or developed that is really important? That's at the top of your list.
Wow, that's a good question. I think is there are many lessons we can take for our life, and we apply that in everyday life. But I think one of the most important for me was self-confidence, self-esteem. I think those are very important, and I learned with capoeira through my life, to be confident about everything that I do, and yeah, being positive. There is lots of lessons. It's really hard to pick one or two.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think martial arts in general can provide you that kind of self-confidence, so you can feel empowered and feel like you can do everything you put yourself into, you're gonna do well. And yeah, it's hard to say.
Yeah. No, it's good. I like it. How about a worst martial arts related injury?
To be honest, I never had any bad injuries with
Wow.
capoeira. I
Okay.
never break anything. Well, there was one situation when I had like 2 years training. I won a competition and we were doing a show, kind of to celebrate the competition winners and things like that. And then there was an accident. Me and my friend were exchanging meia luz de compasso, and then suddenly we end the show, and I was supposed to be doing the last kick, and then he threw another one which hit my face, and then I went to the hospital. So that was an accident. I almost died in that situation. So the doctor told my mom, like, if you don't mind about losing your son, let him go back. But if you mind, don't let him go back to capoeira. And this was on Friday, I think. On Monday, I was back there to train
Nice.
with a purple eye, big marks on my face.
Yeah.
And that was the thing that kind of really hurt. But
Hmm.
I can't remember any other injuries. I never have any problems with my knee, shoulders, or
Wow.
anything like that. Sometimes we feel a little bit of pain because of jiu-jitsu, you require a lot of your shoulder efforts and things like that. But
Hmm.
no, I don't recall any injuries. And that's another reason why I'm going back to what I was talking in terms of finding a good teacher.
Right.
And I'm so honored to have the opportunity to learn from very good teachers. Master Borracha, my capoeira master, it's amazing guy. He really take care of every single one of his students. And Professor Fabio, who is my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu professor, he's also personal trainer, and he's amazing. He's really really fantastic with the way how he teaches, and taking care of everyone. So those guys are really important in my life. My
Okay.
master in capoeira is just like it's hard to talk about him. I
Yeah.
get emotional.
No, I get
So
that.
yeah.
I have my instructor, my traditional Taekwondo instructor I've been with since 1994, so over 30 years.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah. You know what I'm
I
talking about.
definitely get that. Yeah, and I've trained with other instructors and other styles over 40 some years, and he's that special one. He's the one I keep coming back to, and
And get your point. There is no longer about martial arts, not about learning, but being with that person who is
yes,
so special and so important in our lives. You learn so much from them, and it's such an honor to be with him. Like.
exactly. Yep, all my kids have trained with him when they were younger, and yeah, so I definitely get that. That's cool. So, do they with you being connected with the university? Is that something you've ever looked into? Is like doing like a demonstration on campus to try to get more interest or anything?
Well, we talked a little bit about that with the athletics.
Mm-hmm.
And there was also conversation to start martial arts here,
Hmm.
but there was a little bit of conflict, I have to say, because they say the wrestler doesn't like to be with their back on the ground. We talk about jiu-jitsu, and then capoeira could be an extracurricular, but they are also very busy with other activities. So the conversation didn't progress much. So then I found another place, and
Hmm.
that's where we started, and we're happy there. We have from time to time students coming to the classes,
Okay.
and most of them are alumni who train wrestling here at university and graduate and stay in Jamestown, and they want to keep training, and they don't want to do wrestling anymore, but they want to try jiu-jitsu, and then they start and don't stop anymore.
Nice.
So
Okay.
yeah, we have a good team here. By the way, we went to competition last month, and after 3 months of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu training here, they come back with 4 silver medals. So
Wow.
yeah, I'm very proud of my students. So we have Triton coming back with no gi and gi silver medal. We have Nathan, the 60 years old gentleman who
Hmm.
started with me. He also came back with a silver medal, fighting against guys 34 years old, 20 years old, not novice like him, and he did really well. And we have Tulio, which is a Brazilian student of mine who also trained for a few months, went there and did well, bring back a silver medal.
Wow.
So we did well, and
That's
we
really
are
cool.
looking forward to the next competitions.
Have you guys? I know that usually there's one in Fargo, one or two a year
Yep,
in Fargo. Have you?
that's the one we
Oh,
went.
okay. I wish I would have known that. I would have stopped over and watched. But
Yeah,
okay.
there will be another one, I think, next year,
Yeah.
April, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, we may go
So
there.
my instructor does a huge martial arts tournament it's actually in a couple weeks, and he used to have a grappling division, and he quit doing that a few years ago.
Okay.
Hoping maybe he'll bring that back and add grappling again, because it was kind of fun to
Oh,
have that
nice.
different aspect other than the stand up and the taekwondo and stuff. So hopefully
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
I'll let you know. That'd be kind of
Be
cool.
nice
So
to have some IBJJ competitions around here as well.
yeah,
Is I don't see anything around here, so it would be nice to bring some of those competitions over.
definitely. So what are your thoughts on something like MMA, the UFC? Is that something you're a fan of?
I am. I was watching Poatan this last weekend,
Okay.
and yeah, I was really impressed. I was very emotional to see he winning again. So I always watched UFC since the very beginning, with Royce Grace, Hoyler, and
Mm-hmm.
Rickson, the whole family fighting, knowing the history of Rorion Grace starting it. So it's really nice. I love the UFC, and there are a lot of capoeiristas there as well
Mm-hmm.
that came from capoeira and end up doing well at UFC. So we have one guy from my town. He also started in capoeira and he did well with jiu-jitsu. His name is Bruno Bulldog,
Okay.
and he's there. He's part of UFC. He trained with my professor in Brazil, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu,
Mm-hmm.
Felipe Vidal, and he's doing well as well. So I love UFC. Not for myself. I don't see
Yeah.
myself stepping there, but also because I'm quite old now. But back in the days, Felipe was, when I was training jiu-jitsu in Brazil, he was kind of encouraging all his students to start UFC, MMA fighting.
Okay.
And that wasn't something that I was very much into it anymore, because capoeira kind of brought me to reality, stop fighting and be more into martial arts.
Yeah.
And I thought that wasn't a good thing to do, also because it wasn't paying well.
That's,
So
that's true. Yeah.
no, yeah. So
As a fan, then, are you more a fan of the old school UFC from the beginning when there was almost no rules and they could fight 3 times in one night, or are you more a fan of what it is now?
well, I think every sport is evolving, right?
Yeah.
And if we compare any competition nowadays and how it was many, many years back in the days, we always going to compare and be kind of like with that feeling from the past. But I love that. It was really impressive, but
Yeah.
I don't think that would work nowadays
No.
because everyone has a little bit of knowledge of jiu-jitsu. They know what could expect, and that was the beginning of everything. So
Mm-hmm.
it was really impressive seeing Royler Grace fighting against big guys, like say long fights, but that doesn't exist anymore. There is no more space for that. I think that was the beginning to prove that jiu-jitsu was efficient and it worked really well.
Yeah.
But I don't see that working anymore. I think the professionalism of UFC is just excelling more and more, and showing how the fighters are becoming more professional and more skill on the ground or striking, and it's really nice to see that's a new universe, you know.
Nice.
And now it's becoming hard for specialized fighters in just one martial art to transit to the UFC. We see Buchecha, for instance, which is one of the biggest Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighters, and he's finding very hard to transit to MMA. Roger did that as well. He won some competitions, but it was very difficult for him back then. So yeah, I think now we see more those guys who train a lot MMA and less specific martial arts to be MMA fighter. Of course, with some specialities, they work more in a specific area, but they have to start as soon as possible all those skills.
Yeah, and I think a lot of traditional schools, I mean, maybe not all of them, but a good majority of them have added some type of ground game to their training. You know, they still teach the traditional stuff. I mean, our traditional Taekwondo school, we started adding grappling, I think in 94, 95. So we've been doing the ground game for a while. So I think the smart ones have done that.
Yeah, back in the days in the 90s, again, someone came up with this name Capoeira, you know, which was they start playing capoeira and then suddenly they go to the floor and they start to roll on like hard floor. So yeah.
Really?
That was a thing in Brazil.
Interesting. I'll have to see if I can find some video of that or something. Kind of cool.
I mean, it happens a lot in capoeira because we have a lot of sweeps and we have tesouras, which are scissors, to do the takedowns. And very often the guy doesn't know how to manage the situation, so you can kind of carry on the fight in some instances. But once the guy knows how to deal with the situation on the ground, they will change completely. So that's also why I went to the Jiu-Jitsu to learn more.
Okay. All right. I got some fun questions we use to wrap up the show. And I know we were talking about MMA and you said that's, you know, not something you do, but let's say you decided you were going to. What's your walk-up song going to be? What music's playing as you're taking that walk into the cage?
I'm sure it will be some capoeira music, you know.
Yeah.
I'll have to think between the ones I really love to start with, because I think that can set up the mood for me to step on the octagon.
Yeah, the only one I know is Para Noé, just because of the movie, and I'm told that is a real capoeira song, but I didn't, you know, that's the only one I know.
There are some that can really, really change your life, I have to say.
Nice.
Once you understand the meaning of those words.
Okay. All right. Who are 3, 4, 5 names that you would put on your personal Mount Rushmore of martial arts?
Is it like in general, like?
It's completely up to you. I mean, I've had people put only capoeira people, only jiu-jitsu people. I've had people put only movie stars like Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris. It's completely up to you. It's, you know, 3, 4, 5 that you just, you know, put on the pedestal. You think they've done, you know, a lot for you personally, for your art, whatever.
Okay. Yeah, let's go. So I will start with Mestre Bimba,
who
is the founder of Capoeira Regional. Without him, Capoeira wouldn't be here now. He was proving the efficiency of capoeira on the ring, fighting against other martial arts back in the 30s, and he did really well. He died without losing.
Wow.
So he's the first name, and I really recommend whoever is listening to us to check him out and his story. He set up the first Capoeira Academy back in the 30s. So he did a lot to our art.
Okay.
So, of course, the slaves, which we cannot name one because there were so many dads and they pass it over to next generation. And that's also why it's still alive. So I would be slaves, Mestre Bimba. I would say Mestre de Mola as well.
Okay.
Who really changed my mind about how capoeira can be used and how the fighting capoeira can be very, very hard. And watching him playing live in front of me was something that changed my life forever.
Yeah.
My Mestre Borracha, I think he's the third person that really deserves to be in that hall. And then Professor Fabio and Roger Gracie. Those are my 5. Yeah.
So I just Googled Mestre Bimba and looking in his real name, Manuel dos Reis Machado. So is he related? Yes. Is he related to the Machado brothers?
No.
Okay. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure how common that name was in Brazil. So
no, that's quite common name. Yeah.
Oh, it is. Okay.
As a surname, yeah, it is quite common.
Okay. The first thing that jumped out at me was his last name. So
yeah. No. Nothing to do with Jean-Jacques Machado and his brothers, no.
Okay, yeah, I'll have to put a link to his. They got the website here with his information, and I'll have to put a link to that on your episode so people can learn about him and read about him. So that's kind of
Yep.
cool. All right, so next question is favorite martial arts book.
Right, I have several books that I really like about
You
capoeira,
can
but
name a couple if you want to. That's fine.
yeah, so I'm gonna pick the new book from Roger Grace,
Okay.
which I haven't read yet, but I have some information about the book, and I'm sure it's really really nice.
Okay.
So I just ordered mine, so I'm gonna receive it soon. So that's one of the nicest one from Jiu-Jitsu. We have Rickson Grace book as well, which is really nice,
Okay.
just about Jiu-Jitsu. And then about capoeira, there is a book from Mestre Accordion that I really like, but I don't remember the names because I
Okay.
read that quite a while ago. So that's another master who is very good friend of mine, Mestre Carlão, who wrote a book about his story in capoeira, and the book is in Portuguese and English. And in this book, he covers a lot of these lost techniques with knives that you just asked about. And he was talking about how the old capoeiristas they used to use knives to kill.
Mm-hmm.
And he was explaining the techniques and what types of knife to be used. Such a nice story, and he actually learned those things with those guys as well. So
Wow.
he's one of our techniques guardian, is someone who I learn a lot from. It's important to mention him here.
Okay.
So yeah, he's a big name in capoeira. For those who knows capoeira well, knows who I'm talking about. Mas Carlão is a great guy,
Okay.
and I have the pleasure and the honor to call him as my friend as well.
Wow.
So he wrote about 5 books,
Oh, wow.
and this book that I'm mentioning is one of my favorite.
Okay. All right. How about a favorite martial arts video game?
Well, that's Tekken.
Nice.
Yeah, Tekken. But yeah, I used to love Street Fights as well, but just
Mhm.
because Street Fighter, But
Yeah.
Tekken, just by seeing Eddie Gordo doing what I can do as well, and being able to relate to that, and that was very inspiring when I was a child, and related to that and being able to do some of that stuff.
Yep.
That was really nice. And my friends was like, "Oh, Ed is really cool." So yeah, I can do that.
Hey, I like that one too. That's usually my pick. I mean, usually it's most people pick Mortal Kombat, Tekken, or Street Fighter. Those are the 3 big ones, but I usually pick Tekken myself. So
Cool. Yeah.
all right. How about a favorite martial arts TV show?
Oh, yeah. One. I mean, I don't have any favorite ones,
Okay.
but I really like. I think it was the National Geographic that mix science and martial arts, and they test the kicks from different martial arts.
Fight Science, is that what it was called?
I think that's the one. Yeah. And they identify the power of capoeira kicks. And there is one kick that we do from the floor when we're down on the ground, and then we project the body towards the opponent, and we kick from top to bottom. And I love that kick even before watching that episode. And it just proved my personal opinion about being one of the most powerful kicks we have.
Yeah.
And just made the point, it was comparing with other kicks from other martial arts, and it was the most powerful, the most dangerous.
Yeah, that was a good show. I was kind of sad when it ended. I wish that'd be a fun one to bring back now.
Yes, yeah, and test nowadays, like chokes and things like that, and see how it works.
Definitely. Yeah, I'll have to see if I can reach out to someone connected with that show, get them on my show and talk about it.
Yeah, nice.
Okay. All right. How about a favorite martial arts movie?
Well, as a child, I used to watch a lot of these Chinese martial art movies, the very crap ones, the very bad ones. And I love them, and that was very inspiring. And I think that's what kind of make me to become a fighter. Because I look at these guys fighting, breaking everything. I thought I want to do that. So yeah, I really enjoyed those old movies. But of course, going back to the one you just mentioned in Brazil, it was a big thing. It was all the time on the TV, and everybody was proud of it.
Yeah. Oh, Only the Strong, or?
Yeah,
Okay.
Only the Strong.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and also Van Damme moves was quite popular back
Yep.
in the 90s as well. So I like almost all of them. And one of them, there was a capoeirista, isn't it?
Yeah, was
there
that
was a
the
capoeirista.
the Quest, I think, had
Yeah.
when they fought on that island.
Yes, I think so. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, it was basically a rip off of Bloodsport, but it had better martial arts in it, I think. So
yeah.
okay, cool. All right, this one's the final question. Now, doesn't have to be a martial arts movie. Any movie you've seen in your whole life, a favorite movie fight scene. So just one fight scene that jumps out for you.
Wow, that's a good question. I'm not very much into movie. I don't watch much movies
Okay.
anymore. Fight scene in the movie. Hard question.
And people pick anything from Star
Yeah, like
Wars to Marvel.
going back to Van Damme move when the Japanese guy throw the dust on his eye and then he become blind. Do you remember that?
Bloodsport. Yep, the final fight in
Yeah,
Bloodsport.
I think so. I think that one was really powerful. And he's relying just on his skills without seeing, losing the vision can
Yep.
be really hard for a fighter. And what he did there was just really cool.
And he has the flashbacks to when he was training with a blindfold and stuff.
Yes,
and
yes.
It is a good movie. It's one of the guilty pleasures. I think I watch it at least once a year. So it's a fun one. So.
Yeah, no, it's good that you're asking this question. It makes me think about it. And when we talk about Van Damme, it just came out, and I remember that scene. It was very nice.
Yeah, I think Bloodsport and I think Hard Target are probably my two favorite Van Damme movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I like most of them back then, but those are my two favorites. So yeah, I mean, that's what I grew up watching, martial arts movies. So. All right. So before I let you go, is there anything I forgot to ask you or we want to be sure we still mention? And like I said, I'll put links for anything you want me to when the episode comes up, but anything we want to get out there last minute?
Just a general message to everyone who is listening to us, trust in martial arts. They can change your life and they will if you give it the opportunity, just give it a try and don't just go to 1-2 sessions and then quit. Keep persistent, keep coming back, and that's the way how you're gonna really have a proper impression of what that is.
Yeah.
And try capoeira. Capoeira is for everyone, and it can change your life forever. Even though you do other martial arts and you love other martial arts, go to capoeira. You're gonna see your skills blowing up in any other martial arts that you're training. So capoeira can really help you to amplify your skills to a level that you cannot imagine. So try it, trust it, and you're going to be surprised with how much you're going to gain from it.
And if you don't have a local school, and find one that's maybe a few hours away and see if your instructor will bring them in for a night and do like a night of capoeira.
Yes. But there is a lot of instructions online now. If there is nobody to teach you to do the proper way, look up for some tutorials, watch videos. There is always a way to learn. Yeah. And if you want to come to Jamestown, you're more than welcome. We're here with open arms, and come and train with us. Nice. We're excited to have more people. Just come down here.
I love it. Well, seriously, this has been so much fun. I'm so glad I found you, and I'm definitely going to find a way to get out there and stop in and visit your class sometime. And also I'm going to work on getting you to come here to Fargo area and do a demonstration or teach a seminar or something, but we will definitely be staying in touch. But this has been so much fun, and I think my listeners are really going to enjoy this.
Thank you very much, Brian. It was a great pleasure, to participate in your podcast. When you contact me, I start to listen to a few of them, and I think you're doing a great job and a great for all the martial arts to have you doing this, and keep doing. We need more people like you.
I appreciate that. Seriously, I thank you so much, and I truly enjoyed this.
Wrap up today's episode by taking your own training to the next level with Martial Theory by Steve Perlman, the book that's redefining martial arts thinking. Find Martial Theory on Amazon today. Join the worldwide movement at masterclasses.com, where you'll find Q&A sessions, live events, and direct guidance from Steve himself. Use code EverydayMA for 20% off for life. That's martialtheoryU.com, code EverydayMA. Thanks for listening to Everyday Martial Artist. We hope you will join us every week for a brand new episode with a different martial artist telling their story. If you enjoy the show, be sure to leave us a review. Also, be sure to check out our website at everydaymartialartist.com. There you can find all of our episodes and contact us to suggest guests and ask questions. Again, thanks for listening to Everyday Martial Artist, and we'll see you next week.